Once on a time, when I had begun to think about the things that are, and my thoughts had soared high aloft, while my bodily senses had been put under restraint by sleep, yet not such sleep as that of men weighed down by fullness of food or by bodily weariness, methought there came to me a being of vast and boundless magnitude, who called me by name, and said to me, "What do you wish to hear and see, and to learn and come to know by thought?" "Who are you?" I said. "I," said he, "am Poimandres, the mind of the sovereignty." "I would fain learn," said I, "the things that are, and understand their nature, and get knowledge of God." "These," I said, "are the things of which I wish to hear." He answered, "I know what you wish, for indeed I am with you everywhere. Keep in mind all that you desire to learn, and I will teach you." When he had thus spoken, forthwith all things changed in aspect before me, and were opened out in a moment. And I beheld a boundless view. All was changed into light, a mild and joyous light, and I marveled when I saw it. And in a little while there had come to be in one part a downward tending darkness, terrible and grim, and thereafter I saw the darkness changing into a watery substance, which was unspeakably tossed about, and gave forth smoke as from fire, and I heard it making an indescribable sound of lamentation, for there was sent forth from it an inarticulate cry. But from the light there came forth a holy word, which took its stand upon the watery substance. And methought this word was the voice of the light. And Poimandres spoke for me to hear, and said to me, "Do you understand the meaning of what you have seen?" "Tell me its meaning," I said, "and I shall know." "That light," he said, "is I, even mind, the first God, who was before the watery substance which appeared out of the darkness. And the word which came forth from the light is the Son of God." "How so?" said I. "Learn my meaning," said he, "by looking at what you yourself have in you. For in you too the Word is Son, and the mind is Father of the Word. They are not separate from one another, for life is the union of word and mind." Said I, "For this I thank you. Now fix your thought upon the light," he said, "and learn to know it." And when he had thus spoken, he gazed long upon me, eye to eye, so that I trembled at his aspect. And when I raised my head again, I saw in my mind that the light consisted of innumerable powers, and had come to be an ordered world, but a world without bounds. This I perceived in thought, seeing it by reason of the word which Poimandres had spoken to me. And when I was amazed, he spoke again, and said to me, "You have seen in your mind the archetypal form, which is prior to the beginning of things and is limitless." Thus spoke Poimandres to me. "But tell me," said I, "whence did the elements of nature come into being?" He answered, "They issued from God's purpose, which beheld that beauteous world, and copied it. The watery substance, having received the word, was fashioned into an ordered world, the elements being separated out from it, and from the elements came forth the brood of living creatures. Fire unmixed leapt forth from the watery substance, and rose up aloft. The fire was light and keen and active, and therewith the air too, being light, followed the fire, and mounted up till it reached the fire, parting earth from water. so that it seemed that the air was suspended from the fire. And the fire was encompassed by a mighty power, and was held fast, and stood firm. But the earth and water remained in their own place, mingled together, so as not to be distinguished. But they were kept in motion by the reason of the breath-like word, which moved upon the face of the water. And the first mind, that mind which is life and light, being bisexual, gave birth to another mind, a maker of things. And this second mind made out of fire and air 7 administrators, who encompass with their orbits the world perceived by sense, and their administration is called destiny. And forthwith the word of God leapt up from the downward tending elements of nature to the pure body which had been made, and was united with mind the maker. For the word was of one substance with that mind, and the downward tending elements of nature were left devoid of reason, so as to be mere matter. And mind the maker worked together with the word, and encompassing the orbits of the administrators, and whirling them round with a rushing movement, set circling the bodies he had made, and let them revolve, travelling from no fixed starting point to no determined goal, for their revolution begins where it ends. And nature, even as mind the maker willed, brought forth from the downward tending elements animals devoid of reason, for she no longer had with her the word. The air brought forth birds, and the water fishes. Earth and water had by this time been separated from one another. And the earth brought forth 4-footed creatures and creeping things, beasts wild and tame. But mind, the father of all, he who is life and light, gave birth to man, a being like to himself. And he took delight in man, as being his own offspring. For man was very goodly to look on, bearing the likeness of his father. With good reason then did God take delight in man, for it was God's own form that God took delight in. And God delivered over to man all things that had been made. And man took station in the Maker's sphere, and observed the things made by his brother, who was set over the region of fire. And having observed the Maker's creation in the region of fire, he willed to make things for his own part also, and his father gave permission, having in himself all the working of the administrators. And the administrators took delight in him, and each of them gave him a share of his own nature. And having learnt to know the being of the administrators, and received a share of their nature, he willed to break through the bounding circle of their orbits, and he looked down through the structure of the heavens, having broken through the sphere, and showed to downward tending nature the beautiful form of God. And nature, seeing the beauty of the form of God, smiled with insatiate love of man, showing the reflection of that most beautiful form in the water, and its shadow on the earth. And he, seeing his form, a form like to his own, in earth and water, loved it, and willed to dwell there. And the deed followed close on the design, and he took up his abode in matter devoid of reason. And nature, when she had got him with whom she was in love, wrapped him in her clasp, and they were mingled in one, for they were in love with one another. And that is why man, unlike all other living creatures upon earth, is twofold. He is mortal by reason of his body. He is immortal by reason of the man of eternal substance. He is immortal, and has all things in his power, yet he suffers the lot of a mortal, being subject to destiny. He is exalted above the structure of the heavens, yet he is born a slave of destiny. He is bisexual, as his father is bisexual, and sleepless as his father is sleepless, yet he is mastered by carnal desire and by oblivion. Thereafter I said, Tell me the rest, O mind, for I too am mastered by desire to hear your teaching. And Poimandres said, This is the secret which has been kept hidden until this day. Nature, mingled in the marriage with man, brought forth a marvel most marvelous. Inasmuch as man had got from the structure of the heavens the character of the 7 administrators, who were made, as I told you, of fire and air, nature tarried not, but forthwith gave birth to 7 men, according to the characters of the 7 administrators. And these 7 men were bisexual, and stood erect upon the earth.